أعوذ بالله
صلى على محمد وعلى محمد.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب إله العالمين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. أما بعد، أوصي نفسي وإياكم بتقوى الله. First of all, I advise myself, then all of you, to taqwa of Allah Azza wa Jal, God consciousness and remembrance of God in all aspects and areas of our lives. Today is the first of Rabiul Aawal, and we are very close to come to an end of the mourning period for the Aba Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. Generally, in Iranian and Arabic culture, only Muharram and Safar are considered the month of mourning. And from the first of Rabiul Awwal, they start their daily routine. However, in our subcontinental culture, it is not only 2 months, it is 2 months plus 8 days. Because based on historical narrations, Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam, they spend 3 or 7 days in Karbala when they came for Arba'een. And after 3 or 7 days, they departed from Karbala. And definitely it should have taken them another 7 to 10 days to arrive Medina. So we don't have a clear date which says that on which specific day Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salam arrived in Medina. However, based on the calculation, it should be around 8th of Rabiul Awwal. That's why in Indian and Pakistani culture, we have 8th of Rabiul Awwal, remembering the arrival of the caravan of Imam Sajjad and Lady Zainab and Lady Kulthum alayhimus salam to Medina. They are returning from Karbala to Medina. And on 8th of Rabiul Awwal, there is another sad occasion, and that is the shahadat of our 11th Imam, Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salatu wasalam, which is extremely significant, as after the shahadat of Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salatu wasalam, we lost direct connection with the vicegerents and successors of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And after the shahadat of Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam in 260 age, Imam al-Hujjah, who was only 5 years old, could not live among people physically. So for 69 years, around 70 years, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam lived in minor occultation, al-ghayba as-sughra. And then after that, from 329 AH, the major occultation started. So the shahadat of Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salatu wasalam is really special in the sense that people got deprived of the presence of Hujjatullah, Imam Mansus min Allah, the leader appointed by Allah Azza wa Jal physically. So physically, the Imam didn't live among people after that date. So that's why we conclude our mourning period on 8th of Rabiul Awwal instead of on 1st of Rabiul Awwal. And this is just a cultural color, and that should be celebrated and that should be appreciated. Diversity. And there is one thing really important that I'd like to share with you. When we talk about Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam and the events which took place after Karbala, one of the fascinating aspects that comes into existence is the recitation of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam's head of Quran. Not only once or twice, but repeatedly, based on overwhelming historical narrations. It's not the case that only one person has narrated. It's from Daruriyatul Tarikh. It's obvious, there is no doubt, historically, that Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam's head, the severed head, recited Quran in Kufa, in Damascus, in between of Kufa and Damascus, many times. And interestingly, Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam chose Suratul Kahf, and the blessed head of Imam Hussain alayhi salam again and again recited Suratul Kahf. And on some occasions, the blessed head recited the verse we conclude our majlis with. Generally, you may have noticed that when we do the lectures, it doesn't matter who is there. And it is a widespread culture, even in Arabia, Iran, India, Pakistan, wherever people go to Mimbar and they deliver the lecture, generally at the end of the majlis, when they conclude with Masaib of Aba Abdullah, they recite this verse. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ. So Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam's head was reciting this verse also. But dominantly, or most often Imam Hussain alayhi salam's head was reciting Suratul Kahf. So what's the meaning of وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ? Very soon, the oppressors will learn how they are shuffled, how they are toppled, how the things are changed. And that was absolutely correct. Yazid, very soon, just in a couple of days, learned the lesson. And that's why in the beginning you see, Yazid, when he saw the caravan of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he celebrated. He celebrated hugely. He arranged feast. He arranged pompous gatherings. But soon after, he started blaming Ibn Ziyad. It was not me who killed Hussain. It was Ibn Ziyad. And that confuses the Muslim world. And that's why they say, oh, no, it was not Yazid. It was Ibn Ziyad. It was Yazid. And he didn't show any sign of regret until people started revolting against him. And then he started playing the blame game. So Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam used to recite this verse to give a kind of solace to Bibi Zainab, Bibi Kulsum, Imam Sajjad. Don't worry, you are going through this challenge, you are going through this oppression. You don't deserve any of these things taking place to you, but don't worry. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ. Very soon the oppressors are going to learn the lesson. And the second surah that Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam chose, that is about Ashab al-Kahf. He used to recite Surah Al-Kahf, Am hasibt anna ashab al-Kahf wal-Raqim kanu min ayatina ajaba. We'll discuss why Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam chose the Suratul Kahf to recite again and again. But before that, the question is, why was Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam here reciting Quran from over the spear? The body was left in the plains of Karbala and the head was being paraded on the heads of the spears, and Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam was reciting Quran from over there. Why? There could be many reasons, many wisdoms. One of them is to prove that he was not an ordinary person. He was Hujjatullah, he was a sound proof of Allah Azza wa Jal. He was appointed by Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal. So those people who didn't know about the status of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, they were forced to think about Imam Hussain alayhi salam. When they saw the blessed head was reciting Quran, that was outstanding. They hadn't seen it before. Unprecedented. That a severed head was reciting Quran. And also to prove that the Yazid and his army and his government, all the rumors they have spread about me, that is absolutely wrong. They had accused Imam Hussain alayhi salam and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam for being rebels and just a group of people who were jealous of Yazid. They didn't have to do anything with Islam. Imam Hussain, he just wanted to destroy Islam, na'udhu billah. These were the rumors they had spread. So when people saw that Imam Hussein's blessed head was reciting Quran, all the rumors that Yazid and Yazidi army and Yazidi government had spread, they were washed out immediately. You are saying he doesn't have to do with Islam, he doesn't have to do with Quran, and his blessed head after being severed is reciting Quran. And thirdly, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had announced, Inni tarikun fikum al-thaqalayn, kitab Allah wa itrati ahl bayti, ma in tamassaktum bihima lan tadillu ba'di, walan yaftariqa hatta yarida alayya al-haws. I am leaving behind me two weighty things, two sources of guidance for you, O Muslims. One is the book of Allah and the second one is my Ahlul Bayt. They will never separate from one another until they reach on the pond of Kawthar to me. So by reciting Suratul Kahf, in that situation, Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam was reiterating and re-emphasizing on the content of this hadith. وَلَنْ يَفْتَرِقَا حَتَّى يَرِدَ عَلَيَّ الْحَوْضِ. Quran and Ahlul Bayt, they are always together. Nothing can separate them. Even the death cannot separate them. So these are some possible wisdoms for the blessed head reciting Quran. And another wisdom that we can think, unfortunately, Yazidi army, they were so lowly, they were so horrible, that in order to drag the attention of people towards Ahl Haram, towards Lady Zainab, Lady Kulsum, and other women of the blessed family, they were bringing the heads of Shuhada in front of them. So when people wanted to see the heads of the Shuhada, they also could see the faces of the women of Prophet Muhammad's family. So perhaps, and that was the saddest point, that was the most difficult aspect of all the crimes which were committed in Karbala, after Karbala, or before Karbala. That lowly people, they were gazing at the faces of Lady Zainab, Lady Kulsum. So perhaps to divert their attention, people's attention, crowd's attention, from looking at the faces of Ahle Haram, Imam Hussein's head was reciting Quran. So people get busy in seeing at the head of Imam Hussain والسلام, instead of gazing at the faces of Ahlul Bayt alayhimussalam. And why Imam Hussain والسلام's head was reciting Suratul Kahf, inshallah we'll discuss in the second sermon. We pray to Allah Azza wa Jal that He allows all of us to be able to understand and comprehend the messages of Karbala, digest and implement and practice in our day-to-day life. So inshallah we are successful and we are prosperous and we turn into beacons of light for all those who come in touch with us. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا وشفيعنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. أما بعد أوصي نفسي وإياكم بتقوى الله. Once again I advise myself and all of you towards taqwa, remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal. Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam have taught us all the secrets of our success in this world and in the hereafter. Literally they have left nothing unhidden, covered. They have left nothing hidden and covered. Everything they have revealed for us. It's only up to us whether we take the messages or not. We're talking about Imam Hussain ﷺ's head reciting Quran. Why was Imam Hussain ﷺ's blessed head reciting Suratul Kahf? If it comes to the reason, we don't know. But by pondering and reflecting, we can deduce a lot of beautiful lessons from this outstanding, miraculous practice of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. When we read Suratul Kahf, this surah is exceptional among all the surahs of Quran. And it is highly recommended to recite this surah Thursday night and on Friday, both. It is recommended to recite Suratul Kahf. And when you read this surah, you will find some stories mentioned in this surah. They are exceptional. They are not mentioned anywhere in Quran, exclusive to Suratul Kahf. For example, the story of Ashabul Kahf, the companions of the cave. Nowhere in Quran has been mentioned. Or the story of two people, one believer, one disbeliever. They were fellows and friends, but the disbeliever was very arrogant and he was teasing the believer. If you believe in Allah, then why I am rich, you are poor? And this is a great question in the minds of thousands of people, thousands of believers. So that story, again, is exclusive to Suratul Kahf. And then third story, the story of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam following Khizr to seek knowledge. And then the fourth story, the story of Dhul Qarnayn, who traveled across the globe and helped Allah Azza wa Jal servants and solved their problems and saved that downtrodden nation from the tyrannical behaviors and confrontations of Yajuj and Majuj. So these are the four main stories. There are some other stories as well, which are mentioned in Suratul Kahf. And all of them are fascinating, incredible. And they are exclusive to Suratul Kahf. Nowhere these stories are mentioned in Quran other than Surah Al-Kahf. So perhaps Imam Hussain ﷺ was reciting Suratul Kahf to drive our attention to these stories. Pay attention to these stories. If you pay attention to these stories, indeed you will learn the secrets of the success of your life in this world and in the hereafter. Imam Hussain perhaps was telling the people that, like the story of Ashabul Kahf is strange. They were not ordinary people. They were very rich people, very well-off people. They were in fact the ministers in the court of the king of their time. And they were the holders of the greatest positions that a person can imagine. However, when it comes to their faith, in order to protect their religion, they were ready to give away everything. They were ready to sacrifice their name, their fame, their luxuries, their palaces, everything. And they hid themselves inside a cave. And they were in sleeping state for 309 years in that cave. Then Allah Azza wa Jalla resurrected them. So perhaps Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, by choosing the story of Ashabul Kahf, was telling people Yazid is no lesser criminal than the tyrant of that time. And my story is similar to Ashabul Kahf. Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. I haven't risen for any worldly purpose like Ashabul Kahf. They hadn't escaped from that king or that tyrannical regime for any worldly purpose. Their whole intention and their sole purpose was to save the religion of Allah Azza wa Jalla. So perhaps Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam was telling people that there is a resemblance between my story and the story of Ashabul Kahf. Yazid is the tyrant, and I'm an example of Ashabul Kahf. Definitely Ashabul Kahf and Imam Hussain cannot be compared. Ashabul Kahf, they saved only their religion. But Imam Hussain ﷺ was not concerned about his religion. Imam Hussain was concerned about the Islam, about the teachings of Islam for the whole mankind till the day of judgment. Ashabul Kahf managed to save only their religion. But Imam Hussain ﷺ managed to save the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal forever. Inna al-Husayna misbahul huda wa safinatul najat. Indeed, Imam Hussain is the lantern of hidayah, guidance, and the ark of salvation. So there is no comparison. But in order to give people a glimpse, so they can understand what was going on during the time of Yazid, and why Imam Hussain ﷺ stood against Yazid bin Muawiyah. Furthermore, when we ponder on these four stories, indeed, these four stories are able to give us everything we need to survive in this world, not only survive, but thrive in this world and attain success in this world and in the hereafter. What can we take? Let me just summarize very quickly. We have only 5-6 minutes left. What we can deduce from the story of Ashabul Kahf. the importance of faith. Faith is so sublime and so important that nothing can come in between of your faith and yourself. You should be ready to sacrifice everything for your faith. Your faith is even more virtuous than your own lives. So staunch belief, profound belief in Allah Azza wa Jal. That is a lesson that we can learn from Ashabul Kahf. And then the second story, having trust in Allah Azza wa Jal. Two people, one rich, one poor, rich disbeliever, poor believer. The rich person, the disbeliever, he was focusing on himself, being arrogant, being teasing. Oh, I have this much, I have that much. But the other person, even though he was poor, but he was believer, so his attitude was have humiliation, have humbleness. Don't go over the moon. Everything has come from Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah who has given you all these blessings can take away in the split of a second, in the blink of an eye. Don't be so proud, don't be so arrogant. And exactly this is what happened. Allah Azza wa Jal changed the situation. The disbeliever became absolutely poor, and this poor believer became absolutely rich over the night. The story is mentioned in Suratul Kahf. I'm referring to the story. You can go and read. So from this story, what we can learn, there will be challenges in this world. When you exercise your religion, when you practice, when you put your religion in practice and action, there will be a lot of challenges. Don't lose yourself in the face of challenges. If you are a true religion, if you are a true religious person, your religion should be empowering you, should be making you to take the challenges, should be making you to go through all the sufferings and calamities and come out of them victorious, triumphant. So this is the second story. Have trust in Allah Azza wa Jalla. It doesn't matter how horrible the situation is, how depressing the situation is. Don't lose your trust in Allah. Allah has power to change everything in your favor. And third story, the story of Musa and Khizr. Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, he is Nabiullah, he is Rasulullah, he is Kalimullah. Such a great person. But still, Allah Azza wa Jalla is ordering him, go and follow Khizr. So you can learn further. What does it mean? Never stop learning. Our example is like waves. Waves are waves as long as they keep moving. But once they stop, they are no longer waves. We human beings are human beings. We Muslims are Muslims. We mu'mineen are mu'mineen. As long as we keep learning, growing, educating ourselves, increasing in our knowledge and awareness and understanding. But once we stop, definitely we are dead. We are buried. So it doesn't matter at what stage you are. You are PhD, double PhD, no worries. Keep learning. اطلب العلم من المهد إلى اللحد. Seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم ومسلمة. Seeking knowledge is a responsibility of each and every Muslim and Muslimah. اطلب العلم ولو كان بالصين. Go ahead, wherever the knowledge is, obtain it, gain it, increase, add it to your knowledge. So this is insatiable desire of learning. This is the third secret of your success. First, firm belief. Second, strong trust in Allah Azza wa Jal. Third, insatiable desire of knowledge. And number 4, the story of Zulqarnain. يسألونك عن ذي القرنين قل سأتلو عليكم منه ذكرا. Allah Azza wa Jal takes the lead from there and talks about the Zulqarnain. Talks about Zulqarnain. So, if you summarize the story of Dhul Qarnayn, you could say that Dhul Qarnayn is the man of technology of Quran. In Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal has talked about Dhul Qarnayn and how he managed to travel across the globe, how he managed to help the poor people, how he managed to serve the destitutes, how he managed to provide shelter to those people who were shelterless, how he managed to help that downtrodden nation against mighty Yajuj and Majuj by utilizing technology. So don't go against the technology. Utilize it. It doesn't matter who has it. Take it from them. Learn it from them. خذ الحكمة ولو من أهل النفاق. خذ الحكمة ولو من فم مشرك. So these are the instructions of Islam. Without technology, you cannot survive in this world, let alone of thriving. So Dhul Qarnayn, how he managed to raise a wall between that downtrodden nation and Yajuj and Majuj. You read Suratul Kahf, the story of Dhul Qarnayn, you will be amazed. He used the technology, he melted the iron, and then he mixed with some other metals, and he made it extremely strong that Yajuj and Majuj, it doesn't matter how mighty or how strong or how wild they were, they couldn't trespass it. They couldn't destroy it. So that is the story of technology. So these are 4 words which summarize the secrets of your success. Number 1, firm belief in Allah Azza wa Jal. Take it from Ashabul Kahf. Number 2, strong trust in Allah Azza wa Jal. Take it from the story of those 2 fellows. And number 3, insatiable desire of knowledge, never-ending urge of seeking knowledge. Take it from Musa and Khizr. And number 4, never undermine the power of technology. Take it from Dhul Qarnayn. And if you take these 4 lessons from Suratul Kahf, you are successful in this world and in the hereafter. Perhaps this is the reason, or this is the wisdom for which Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam chose Suratul Kahf to recite again and again from over the head of these spears, to drive our attention to these powerful lessons mentioned or hidden in Suratul Kahf. We pray to Allah Azza wa Jal that He allows all of us to be able to keep ourselves connected with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, the source of our prosperity, the source of our success, and the source of our guidance, whether it is in this world or in the hereafter. We pray to Allah Azza wa Jal that He hastens in the reappearance of the Master of our time. We pray to Allah Azza wa Jal that He Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We pray to Allah Azza wa Jal that He allows all of us to carry the message of Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam, share it and pass it to others, those who are deprived of the beautiful messages of Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا وشفيعنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعلى يعصوب الدين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعلى بضعة خاتم النبيين فاطمة الزهراء البتول اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعلى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعلى أئمة المسلمين وقادة الغر المحجلين علي بن الحسين زين العابدين ومحمد بن علي باقر علم النبيين وجعفر بن محمد الصادق الأمين وموسى بن جعفر الكاظم وعلي بن موسى الرضا المرتضى ومحمد بن علي التقي الجواد وعلي بن محمد النقي الهادي والحسن بن علي الزكي العسكري اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ماحي آثار البدع والطغيان هادم أبنية الشرك والنفاق حاسد فروع البغي والشقاق صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آبائه الكرام ما اتصلت الليالي والأيام اللهم عجل فرجه وسهل مخرجه، واكحل ناظرنا بنظرة منا إليه، وتفضل على المؤمن والمؤمنات بمزيد التوفيقات وازدياد الإقبال وعلو الدرجات. اللهم افعل بنا ما أنت أهله، ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله، بجاه محمد وآله المعصومين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى، وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي، يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون.